Hello, welcome to Spirit Island. And while the craziness of March Madness might have been canceled this year, we have our own Final Four, kids. We got Shadows Flicker Like Flames, Serpent Slumbering Beneath the Earth, Heart of the Wildfire, and Ocean's Hungry Grasp. So somehow the two promo spirits have managed to last until the Final Four, with one of my faves and the other one that I will not mention and treat it like Voldemort for a second or two. Let's do this first. Get my phone off of the table. Oh, what? This is the longest. There. Oh, and all right. Well, this guy, Voldemort, is on the board. All right. We're going to play Shadow Circle Like Flames. I will hopefully gain newfound respect for him. Maybe you can witness history here. Let's figure out, let's stick with level 4. I mean, especially with this spirit, I'm not that jazzed about jacking up the difficulty here. So 4, France. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how I would normally do it. So I usually say what number is what before I roll, but that's how I'll do it that way. I get the Slave Rebellion card. Slave Rebellion card, it has to be played. Well, we'll put that there and make sure I add that to the event deck. We'll go through France's levels in a second. We're going to go back to board D. I say go back because if you saw episode 9 of Spirit Island on my channel, you would have seen that we were on D there as well. So let's do the pre-printed setup icons. We're going to have 2 Dahan on land number 1. We are going to have a Dahan and a city on land number 2. We are going to have a Dahan and a Blight on land number 3. We're going to have 2 Dahan and a town on land number 7. I think this is the only board that there isn't a town. In the pre-printed setup, there's always Dawn wherever the structures are. I'm not sure if that's true. But if that is true, that's an interesting choice. It seems to be. Yeah, that's true. So I think that would make things a little easier for a lot of reasons. I do love this board as Ocean because this is a coastal land and having adjacency to almost all of the lands. There's only one land that isn't adjacent to a coastal land. So for Ocean, this board is especially huge. But I think that's another thing that might make board D a little bit easier, at least the way I play. All right. I don't even want to talk about shadows yet. We're gonna do the rest of this. Let's set up the Healthy Island card. So 1, 2, 3 will be the top, 4, 5, 6 is the bottom. We are on the top, and now I have 5 cards remaining. We are going to roll, and it's a 4. So this is our Healthy Island card for our fun and games today. We're gonna put 2 Blight on there. The minor powers have been shuffled. The major powers have been shuffled. Minor secrets have been playing too much Clank lately. All right, so Kingdom of France, considered to be the hardest adversary by a lot of people. I'm not convinced of that. And England still will give me a run for my money, and Sweden and Britain and Prussia are also no slouch. So I think it does depend on the spirit that you are. Additional loss condition. At the beginning of the game, you're going to take all but 7 towns. You cannot place a town. You lose, and that includes the towns that are placed during setup. So we're actually down to 6, and I am going to put a card over that to make sure I do not go from that supply. So here are this is my supply of towns for the game, and that's fine. After exploring, this is the stage 2 escalation, demand for new cash crops. After exploring, on each board, pick a land of the shown terrain. If it has cities or towns, add a Blight. If it does not, add a town. All right, level 4, the Fear deck is going to be 4/4/4. I've already shuffled this a bit, but I'll give it a couple more riffles. So not the worst Fear deck ever. Only 12 cards at a level 4. Again, if you remember, level 4 England had 14, so it can make quite a difference through the course of the game. So Terror level... how did I do this? That was the top of the deck. So Terror level 3, 4 cards. Terror level 2, 4 cards. And there's our Fear deck. Except during setup, after invaders successfully explore into a land which has no no cities or towns. I'm struggling. I'm gonna get there. I'm just getting into the flow here. But has no towns or cities. Add an explorer. Slave labor during setup. Put the slave rebellion card under the top 3 cards of the event deck. 1, 2, 3. Slave rebellion. Ding. And after invaders build in a land with 2 or more explorers, replace all but 1 explorers there with an equal number of towns. Rough. During setup on each board, you can see how the synergy there is bad. During setup on each board, add a town to the highest number of lands without a town. That is going to be 8, and that comes from that supply. So we're down to 5. Whenever invaders build in a coastal city, add 1 city to an adjacent land with the fewest cities. I think if I remember correctly, we beat France with level 4 Thunder Speaker. I still don't want to go to level 5, not with a spirit that I'm not all that enamored with. So we're gonna keep it right there. Level 5 is just it messes with the healing of blight and where blight goes and how you can get it back on the card. And then in a solo game, it can be especially nuts because until you remove 3 blight, you actually can't add blight back on your healthy island or blight island on the card. We have to set the invader deck. Invader deck will be set like normal. Remember that we had a whole bunch of shenanigans when we were playing against Brandenburg Prussia, but the invader deck here is a standard. There's going to be 5 level 3 cards, 4 level 2 cards, again 1 of the coastal lands, and then 1 of the each of the terrain types with an escalator. So 1 of those is removed, and then we have 4 level 1 cards. A 6 is not helpful when there's only 4 cards. Neither is a 5, 2. So 3 1s, 4 2s, 5 3s, and now we come to this guy. So I'm not sure exactly what he's supposed to be. I've read a little bit on the Greater Than Games website. He's a thing. So I think he's supposed to be like the shadows, but he's kind of also a spirit that lives in the shadows, and I guess he flickers like flames. So we'll figure it out. Alright, the Dahan say, if the long shadows of sunset stretching beside you begin to shift and flicker like tongues of hungry fire, do not run. That will only feed your fear and whet the shadow's appetite. This spirit invokes an instinctive fear in humans, perhaps because it doesn't think at all like humans do. It's more alien-minded than most. Until a few generations ago, the Dahan carefully propitiated it only at a distance, steering as clear as they could. But during the years of the relentless sun, it shaded large swaths of the island, averting catastrophe. Since then, many Dahan have been willing to carefully and cautiously heed its words, feeling that they have a debt they ought to try to repay. We're going to put 3 spirit on the starting board, 2 in the highest number jungle, bing, and 1 in land number 5, bing. Alright, so he's good at causing fear, picking off lone explorers and towns, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So, whenever you use a power, you may pay 1 energy to target a land with Dahan, regardless of the power's range. Not as useful in solo. Growth options: reclaim cards, gain a power card. Second one is gain a power card, add 1 presence, 1 away from where you have presence. And the third one is add a presence within 3 of where you have presence and gain 3 energy. The presence track is hella boring. The energy side is 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the card side is 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. No reclaim cards, no elements. It is vanilla. Someone in the comments, I know there's people that love this spirit. There have to be, and just tell me what the heck I'm missing here. I just, whatever. I digress. We'll come back to this at the end of the game after I get shellacked by friends. Innate powers. It is a fast power, one within range 1 of a sacred place. If I have 2 moons and 1 fire, I get to gather and explore. If I have 3 moons and 2 fire, I get to destroy up to 2 explorers and generate 1 fear per explorer destroyed. That could be pretty useful against France especially. And then 4 moons, 3 fire, and 2 air. I get to do 3 damage. And then 1 fear per invader destroyed by this damage. Now remember, I mean, getting these is going to be a little difficult early, but getting to that 3-2 I think is going to be important. So getting these 2 off the board with a quasi, it's not a fast, it's not a, I mean, you get up to 2 card plays just with 1 presence. It's going to take a little bit to get this guy going, but I think getting up to that 3-2 is going to be important to start destroying all the extra explorers that are going to be put on the board by France. And remember, this is cumulative, so you target land. Once you target a land, you can gather and then destroy 2. All right, and then if you go here, you can gather, then destroy 2, and then do 3 damage. So it's a nice cumulative effect when you can get all those elements. My starting powers are pretty cheap, which is good for a spirit that literally gets 0 energy. Until you start moving up the track, which we won't do that until the next round probably. Concealing Shadows has a moon and a sky. It is a fast power, range 0. It generates 1 fear, and Dahan take no damage from ravaging invaders this turn. Now the Dahan might not take any damage, but for real, the land still does. So if it's enough to kill a Dahan, it will certainly be enough to put Blight on the board, which is rough. So, okay card. I don't know. It is what it is. Favors Called Due is 1. It costs 1 energy. It has a moon, a sky, and a beast. Its speed is slow. It is I can target any land within range 1 of where I have presence. I can gather up to 4 Dahan. If invaders are present and Dahan now outnumber them, I generate 3 fear. Great fear generator card. Crops Wither and Fade. It is a slow power, range 0, so I have to use it in a land where I have presence, or I have to use it in a land with Dahan and pay 1 energy because of my special rules. It's 2 fear. I can replace a town with a explorer, and I can replace a city with a town. This card is really useful in endgame if you're going for a Terra level 3 victory. And then finally we have a 1 energy card, Mantle of Dread. It is a slow power. I can target any spirit, so obviously I'd be targeting myself. It generates 2 fear, and I can push 1 explorer and 1 town from one of my lands. And my lands again are only lands that have my presence. I'm pretty sure I can't use my special rules to target a land with Dahan for that. Now, because again, Shadows of the Dahan it specifically says range. This card doesn't have range. Now, I will say, for those of you that are playing this game, there is an awesome, pretty comprehensive FAQ like rules thing. It's the website's Quirky, Querki. It's one of the most comprehensive, user-friendly FAQs that I have seen online, and I really like this one. Yeah, so the FAQ has confirmed that my Shadows of the Dahan rule does not let me ignore the requirement of Mantle of Dread that the land be one of my lands. Again, a land where I have presence. So we're going to do the final step of Explore, and we're going to put, there is a source here and a source here. Now remember, France's ability that if there are no towns or cities, you add a second, only applies after setup. So we're fine there. I think I need money, and I think I want 2 card plays. So I'm going to put this on the board here to give me a sacred place. That's going to be important. I already have one down here, but that's not as useful. So I am going to get a sacred place in the middle of the board, and I am going to do that. I need to prevent one of those builds. I think Shadow is more than any of the starter spirits. Like, I always just feel like I'm 1 card away from doing everything I want to do. Alright, so I'm not going to make a sacred place here. What instead I'm going to do is I can put a presence with 3 where I have presence. I definitely don't want to start spending money to use the Shadows of the Dawn when I don't have to. This is probably... Oh, I need those 2 fires. Shoot. No, I need a fire. Ugh. Well, keep this. I'm going to play this and this. I can prevent all building, which is exciting. Don't you hear my excitement? Alright, and then if I can get lucky when I get a minor power and get a moon and a flame, that'd be tremendous. So I added a presence 3 away from where I had presence. I'm going to gain 3 energy. I will, just like when I was playing with lightning, I'm going to take it in change. I get 0 energy from my presence track. I put 1 and 1 there and there. And since I have 2 moons and a fire, I do unlock the gather 1 away from where I have a sacred place. So what am I gonna do? I am going to that is slow. That is fine. I'm going to, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to use my fast power here. Darkness swallows the unwary, I don't know, one of those 2. And it gets me gather. So this is 1 away from where I have a sacred place. So I'm going to gather and explore into, that's blighted. That's a little dangerous. I'm going to gather, explore into here. All right. So that I've used my innate power. Both my slow powers are going to remain there. I have 1 energy remaining for next turn. So my cards are set. Before I forget, again, I have to put a beast where there's not the lowest number land without a pre-printed setup icon. And then again, because I'm playing with the Branch and Claw expansion, there's also going to be a disease on land number 2. Now we're going to do the rest of the round. Blighted Land effect, there is none. Event card. When exploring, once per board, place a town instead of an explorer. Interesting. That's gross. And then beast provoked on each board, add a beast to a land that without blight that has a town. I'll put it. I'll put it in this mountains, and hopefully I get lucky with a future event card. During Ravage, never land, defend 1 per Dawn. Useless. Alright. Now we're going to do the invader actions. The invaders are going to build. Keep trying to get it from the supply. Put it there. They're not going to build there. And now we explore. Let me remind me about this. So, in each, 1 exploring, once per board, place a town instead of an explorer. So, explorer action here is just going to be the 1 explorer because it has a town. So right to level 2 France doesn't trigger. Explorer action here is going to be a town instead of a explorer, and after successfully exploring to a land which had no cities or towns, we actually have to add an additional explorer. So that's a little gross, but it's what we're looking at. We need explorers so much with France. I'm gonna put a whole bunch there. So that is carried out. The invader cards are going to move. So we're ravaging in wetlands next turn. So I need to prevent that. So I'm going to generate 2 fear and push 1 explorer and 1 town from one of their lands. We're going to push this from this land into this land, and this power is done. And now I'm going to gather up to 4 Dahan. I'm going to gather these 2 Dahan. If invaders are present, again, target land is any range 1. Already present there, that's fine. If target land invaders are present and Dahan now outnumber them, they do. It's 3 to 2. We are going to generate 3 fear. So it gives me a remainder of 1, and I get my first fear card. So that is done. All right, we're now going to gain a power card and add a presence. I can do this in any order. So what I want to do is gain the power card first and see what I'm dealing with here. And if I could create a card that costs 0, that has a moon and a fire, this would be the time to draw it. Nope. 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 None of these cards cost 0, which is gross. Alright, so if none of these cards cost 0 and I only have 1 money, let me start moving up this money track. Because I'm going to have to reclaim cards next turn, so maybe I won't. That's fine. So I add a presence. Try to look at these. Moon. Seeing something with a moon is like almost a no-brainer. If there is dawn, add a dawn. If there are no dawn, remove a blight. The target land is coastal. It's probably not that helpful. This one has a moon. I get to push and explore. Target land is the mountains or a jungle. I can add a wilds. Target spirit. If you target a spirit other than yourself, gain an energy. Target spirit may immediately play another card, another power card, paying its cost. Has a fire, but not the moon. Would be an interesting way to. It's not that useful. Alright, we're going to grab Disorienting Landscape. And hopefully get lucky and stop and explore here. So, what are we doing? This card is useless. So both the lands that the invaders are supposed to build already have a town, so they're both going to make cities, which is rough. So I'm going to add a presence somewhere because I haven't done that yet. I will make myself a sacred place. This one's pretty central. Going to drop that on the board. Alright, I'm gonna make myself. I'm gonna actually try to within range 1. So I had to add a presence within range 1. I can't reach there. So fine, I'll make a sacred place in the middle of the board. I think. That's so I get 1 from there, so 1 and 1. I'm only gonna have 1 money next turn. Eesh. So I do have 2 moons and a fire, so I can gather 1 explorer, which, what's the point? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to gather this explorer into that sands. I can push an explorer, and the target land is a mountain or a jungle. Add a wilds. I'm basically going to use this power just to add a wilds here to try to prevent any further invader activity in this land for a while. So those are my 2 fast powers. I have this slow power, which I will have in reserve. We're going to do Blighted Island effect. There is none. Event card. Stage. We're still in stage 1. When exploring, add 1 additional explorer to each land explored. You've got to be kidding me. Invaders do not ravage in lands with disease or strife. Useless. On each board, push 2 down from a land with a city to a land without a city. Have to do it. Get to retreat. Gross. So now I have 4 down in the middle of the board for no good reason. Alright. So the ravaging doesn't help. We're going to do an event card. Each player moves an explorer from a land with beast, disease, or at least 2 Dahan. I will remove this explorer because I can. And I know that's going to ravage next turn, and the more I can give myself a chance to survive that onslaught, the better. Alright, we're going to do the invader actions. We're ravaging here, nothing ravaging there, nothing building a city, which is better than building a town and building a city. We are now going to do... that's rough. I really needed that to be jungles. It was going to be one of the 2, and we got sand. So we have a source here, and we have a source here. Wow. So this moves, this moves, this moves. I have 1 more power. It's 1 slow power. I'm going to generate 2 fear. And I can replace a town with an explorer. I can replace a city with a town. Problem if I replace a city with a town, we're hurting because we only have 2 left. And if he successfully, and since I explored it to there, it actually gets a 2nd explorer. Shoot. Oh, and we add 1 additional because of Wave of Recognizance. So this gets 3, and this gets, I'm toast. So if they successfully build in either of those, they're gonna put 3 towns here, 4 towns there because of level 2 France, and I have no defense for it. None at all. Man, I really don't like the spirit. It's really gross. There's no money production. There's nothing. There's nothing to do with this freaking spirit. There's no damage. I mean, you're just toast. I can't get to level 2 quick enough to start destroying these explorers. I mean, really, you can't get to level 2. You're going to need the money, and you're going to need the 2 card plays. So you're basically talking, and you don't get, whenever you claim cards, you don't get a power card. So you're talking probably 5 turns before you're really able to destroy all those explorers. I mean, this is just not workable. I don't understand this spirit at all. At all. I'm gonna have so many towns on the board. That waiver of recognizance, adding an extra explorer, was an interesting touch. So look, I've already generated the 2 fear because of the crops wither and fade. I can't turn this city into a town because it would just be dumb, because I'm already hurting with towns. So I'm going to replace this town with an explorer, and I don't know what I'm going to do to prevent, because if a successful build action here is going to be all 4 of those towns because of level 2 France. So we shall see what happens. Claiming my cards isn't going to help because I'm going to have 1 money. 1 money is not going to do crap for me. Although if I gather, destroy 2. I'm going to reclaim my cards and hope I get really lucky. I need a moon. Oh, that costs money though. Oh man, they're good cards. I'm just not going to have the money to play them. Alright, I'm going to have to take this one just for game theory. I get 1 money. I'm going to have to use it to play rights, a right of the land's rejection. I don't have a choice. Then I'm going to, oh, well, that's going to be gross. The only thing I can do is play a free card, and that's fine. So we're going to go Blighted Island, but nothing I can really do about that. So those are my powers. I do have this 2 and 1. I'm going to gather 1 explorer here. So that fast power is done. I'm going to generate a fear, Dahan take no damage from ravaging invaders this turn. So I'm going to put this here where they're going to ravage, but at least I'll be able to kill everything there. And then I'm going to put this here, and it's going to be invaders do not build in target land this turn. 1 fear per town or city, or 1 fear per Dahan, whichever is less. There's only 1 town or city, so I'm only generating 1 fear for that, but at least I'm preventing 4 towns from being built. Alright, all my powers are done. Enemy phase, wow. Blighted Island phase, nothing. Event card, be super lucky. Humanity has always been faster than you, but the invader's terrifying speed catches you off guard. Each spirit chooses independently for each of their slow powers played this turn. I have no slow powers played this turn, so I can pretty much, none of this is applicable, which is fine. Lingering plagues on each board, add 1 disease. Ignore disease during builds this turn. I will, I mean, it's a total crapshoot, but I will put, man, we're going to put so much blood on the board in 1 second. It's going to be gross. I'm going to put disease up there because of adjacency concerns. Each spirit chooses a different land where Dahan outnumber cities or towns. So that's here. Oh, that's interesting. I can prevent a cascading blight. Raids and forests. Each spirit chooses a different land where Dahan outnumber cities and towns. It does here. Each Dahan does 1 damage. So I'm going to do 4 damage and kill this city and one of these explorers. So that was actually quite fortuitous. Alright, so at least we won't go Blighted Island. It's looking a little bit better. And that is good. We're going to do our fear card. Each player removes 1 explorer town from a land with a sacred place. Great. So we're moving. It's my only option. So that is out. I would love to remove a town, but I can't. So that was some magical stuff. We are going to go to the event card. Ravaging. Nothing's happening here. We are blighting here. Building. Invaders do not build in target land this turn. So they're not building there, but they are building here. And since there's multiple explorers, 1 explorer is replaced with a town, which is rough. We're exploring. So after we're exploring, so we're gonna do the escalator after exploring. So first we're going to explore here and here. Man, we're back to mountains way too quick. And then we're exploring here, but our cities are towns, so it doesn't get the second one. But now after exploring, I have to choose if it has city or towns, add a blight. Otherwise, add a Dahan and add a town. I don't want to go Blighted Island, so I'm going to add a town here, which is a little bit gross. And I am now 1 town away from utter destruction. That's done. Oh, that goes here. So, invader cards are going to move. These go to the side. We're building here, which would be 2 towns. Building here would be 1 town. I can't do that fast. Can't do that fast. Can't destroy towns fast enough. So I'm basically relying heavily on the fear cards. The only way I can generate fear early would be that. You've got to be kidding me. Remember, the event card is somewhat helpful because it's going to be the special France Adversary card there. Alright, so I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this and this. So that means I'm going to need to, I'm going out of order again, sorry. So I'm adding a presence and gaining 3 energy. And I'm going to add the presence 3 away from where I had presence. I'm also getting 1 energy because of the energy track. I'm going to add this presence. We are so going Blooded Island. Add this presence. It's gonna ravage. Already had a presence there. So my fast power, I'm going to push. So it's 2 away from where I have a sacred place. I'm going to push 1, and if the target land is a mountain or city, a mountain or jungle, I get to add a wilds. 1, 2, 3. I have this unlocked. I can gather. Oh, do I want to add a wild there? No. Hold on, take this back. I'm going to do my innate power so I can gather. So 1 away from where I have a sacred place. I can gather. Oh, this comes away. I can gather 1. And then in the same target land, so I gathered into here, in the same target land I can destroy 2, and then generate 1 fear for each explorer destroyed, and that gives me another fear card. Now I can push 2 away from where I have a sacred place. I can push an explorer, and maybe I get lucky, and if I get lucky and I pull jungles, then we can prevent all explorations. I'm going to push an explorer and add a wilds there. I kind of wish they were ravaging here, but they're going to be building instead. I got a problem. I needed that card. My problem is I'm gonna run out of towns. And get serious amounts of blight. Reclaiming cards is pointless. That's like 5 damage. I'm trying to think how I can maximize my chances. Let me rethink about this. Originally I pulled an explorer into here and destroyed 2. I'm actually going to make this the target land for my innate power, which I can because it's within range 1 of a sacred place. So now there's only attack of 4 there. If I could somehow, and then I'm going to push this. There's only attack of 3 there. So this on retaliate, I'm going to destroy this town. Nope, I don't add a wilds because I'm targeting a sands, not a mountain or a jungle. So to review, originally I had 1, 2, 3, 4 explorers there. So what I did was, and I had 3 explorers, I had 2 explorers there. I had to gather one. I had 4 explorers there. I had to gather one, so I gathered one from there. I destroyed 2. I generated 2 fear. Then I had 3 left because I had 4 plus 1 minus 2. I pushed an explorer, so now it's only attacking 4. So hopefully I can get some kind of Dahan defense here, and that will help me take care of that. And I'm gonna need to either remove something. I'm gonna need to destroy this during Blight, or I'm gonna need to remove one of these, do some defense. You know, I think that's my best chance. I had 4 explorers there originally. I had 2 here. I gathered 1, destroyed 2, and then I pushed 1. So everything is right. And again, I think this gives me the maximum chances of just surviving until another round. All right. So, by the landed effect, there is none. We're going to pull an event card. Slave Rebellion. Adversary event. Include only if you're playing against France. It is stage 2. We're going to add a strife to a town. We're going to add a strife to this town. And then we're going, after finishing this event card, draw another one, then return this card to the event deck as per setup. Invaders with strife take 1 damage per Dahan present. Add a Dahan per town or city this destroys. So again, having some knowledge of France in this card allowed me to really make the best decision in that last round. So I'm going to destroy this. So this town goes back here, and I get a fear, and then I get to add a Dahan to that land, and that is good. All right. And then draw another card and return this to the event deck as per setup. So I draw another card and return this to the relief as per setup. So underneath the top 3 cards, and now we're gonna get this in a little bit. A strange madness among the beasts. They grow wilder and more savage. You may let each beast destroy a Dahan. Remove 1 beast from each board, or I can remove any number of beasts each spirit may push. So I can remove any number. So if I can guide the madness, I can remove any number of beasts I want, but for each beast that I keep, I'd have to spend 3 energy, aided by animal. Again, it's not relevant for this game, but aided by, so it costs 3 energy. So I could either spend that energy, or I can discard a card that has the relevant element for 2. I can forget that power for a +4, or I actually get a +1 for each of those elements that have in play. I have none of those elements in play, but the good thing is I'll let them rampage until death. So each beast destroys a Dahan, but beasts are not a single beast is in a land with a Dahan, and I'm going to remove this beast over here because it's kind of pointless. So that was good. Each beast destroys 1 explorer and does 2 damage. So that's good. And then on each board I can push 2 Dahan from a land with beast, disease, or wilds to a land without any of these tokens. I have no Dahan in a land with beast, disease, or wilds. So somehow our little France supply has gotten better. We're doing this. Each player adds a strife to a city or a town. Sure. I will add a strife to here. The gross thing is having these 2 here. So again, you have to do everything, right? You can't choose to ignore an element. You have to do as much as possible. So since I had to gather into this land before I destroyed 2, gathering meant that this is actually a blight with just the attack of 2. Yeah, you can ignore the whole power, or you have to do it. So I had to gather, and then I destroyed 2, and that is going to be enough to put me into Blighted Island. Some spirits you wouldn't have all the necessary elements per se, but you have to do everything in order. But so yeah, I had a gather, which left me vulnerable in the sands a little bit more than I had hoped. But, you know, I wish I could have added the strife to any explorer, because then I could have just added the strife to one of these explorers. But any invader instead of having to do an explorer, that would have been definitely better. Nevertheless, we are almost at terror level 2, which will help give us some chance of turning this game around. But for now, we are going to be in some trouble. So we're ravaging. We are now in Blighted Island. Immediately destroy 3 presents from each spirit. Okay. I guess this makes the most sense. Yeah. So 3 presents destroyed. I get 5 blight. Thank God. I'm gonna need all the blight I can get. So this was a good Blighted Island card for us. So that ravage is done. We're gonna ravage here. They're ravaging 2, destroys a Dahan, but the surviving Dahan retaliate and destroy both of those explorers. We're going to build a city here and a town here. Keep going from the supply, but nope. So we have 2 towns left on our France supply, and now we're going to explore. We're exploring into jungles. This wilds prevents that explorer, and this gets an explorer. But since there were not 2 or more explorers before the exploration, we don't have to replace any explorers for the town. And additionally, since there was already a town or a city there, we don't have to add a town or a city. Then we do have to trigger the escalator. So after exploring each board, pick a land in the shown terrain. If it has cities or towns, add a blight. If it has otherwise, we can add a town. Oh man, I mean neither of these are great, and it's not an easy choice right now. I'm sorry, that thing I said about the building made no sense. You wouldn't replace them all. It's after you build and there's multiple, so I have to worry about that. But we're not going to build there next turn unless the event card says ignore disease. I don't have presence there anymore. I'm gonna add. I don't really want to have another land I need to worry about, so I am gonna add a blight. I think that makes the most sense, but rough. Alright, invader cards are going to advance. So, Mantle of Dread, I'm going to... Oh, I have so much defense there. Alright, Cross, Wither, and Fade. I'm going to generate 2 fear. I'm worried about both the mountains, obviously, because they both would cascade, but I have more potential to do some cool things there. So I'm going to generate 2 fear because of Crops, Wither, and Fade. That's a remainder of 1. I am in terror level 2. I'm going to replace this. Oh man, towns are brutal. I'm going to replace this. I'm trying to balance my town supply. If they ravage, what am I killing? I'll be able to get those back in. It's risky. I think I gotta do it because I'm getting worried about the blight. So I'm going to replace that city with a town. So now I only have 2 towns there. Hopefully I'll be able to remove 1. And then I'm going to generate 2 more fear. And I can push a town and a explorer from one of my lands. I'm going to push from this land. Remember, I already have, this is only ravaging 4, because the strife is going to subtract that. So maybe I can, hopefully I get a card that allows me to defend per Dahan or something. But ultimately, I think that's the best I could do with what I'm working with. And now we are here. Time passes. Ugh. Okay. I have to reclaim my cards. I'm gonna gain. Oh man. I'm gonna gain a power card. I don't have enough money for a major. And I'm only gonna get 1 money from the presence track, so I know I have 2 money to work with. So that's money's good. Let me see what kind of minor power cards we're getting. No moon. That's everything I need. That's a moon. Oh. That's a moon, and it's a magical defend. And it's fast. Destroying presence and adding. Ooh, this allows me to add a presence to one of my lands, which would not open things up for this turn, but could be useful for the future. Three card plays. Eesh. I'll actually have a fair amount of money next turn, I think. Problem is any cards that have both the moon and the they're building there. Oh no, that's gonna prevent that build. Any powers that have both the moon and the fire are not free. I'm gonna have to keep Dark and Tangled Woods. I'm gonna get 2 more cards on there. Going to get, as we replace things, which in a land where I have presence, losing 3 presence on the board was rough. Not building anywhere. Anyway. And we're gonna do this one. Oh, that's fine. I'm not gonna get my innate power, but I don't think that's that bad. Okay. So I'm going to take my 2 energy and I'm going to pay for these 3 cards. That gives me access to the first level of my innate power. So I can gather. This is attacking 4. Because that's subtracted. So I'm going to generate 2 fear, and if the target land is a mountain, I can defend 3, so this is now defended 3, and it's only attacking 4. Just in case, if any kind of the event card gives any extra damage, Dahan are going to take no damage there. So I want to make sure everything there is wiped out. And then I can gather 1 explorer. In case disease are ignored, I will gather this explorer 1 away from where I have. So I'm going to choose this as a target land, and I'm going to gather this explorer there, because if disease are ignored, I don't want them to build there and then build 2 towns when I only have 1 in the supply. So I have 1 slow power, which I still have access to. We're going to do Blighted Island effect. There is no continuing effect. That was a one-time thing. We're going to need some magical fear cards, but we'll see what the event does for us. Sacred sites under threat. Invaders have begun to find hidden places of natural power. I can let the island strength repulse them, or I can guard them yourself for well or for ill. So if I let the island strength repulse them, I have to each sacred place pushes a town or an explorer to an adjacent land, and I remove 1 blight per player from the blight card. That's like a non-starter. Or in each land with sacred place and invaders, I can either do 2 damage or destroy 1 presence for each spirit. That's also a non-starter. If I do 2 damage, I need to spend 3 energy aided by fire, where I do 2 damage. So I'm going to do 2 damage. There's only 1 place that's relevant. So I'm going to need to forget 1 of these cards. Aided by fire. What card is the most? This card is the less useful of the 2. So I'm going to forget this card. So that gives me a +2 toward the energy cost, and then I have 1 fire in play, so that is the 3. So I'm going to do 2 damage in this land, so I'm basically destroying the town that wasn't attacking anyway, but at least I get the fear. And I now have 2 in the supply. Each spirit with at least 4 Dahan among its lands. Spirit speakers solve riddles of power. I'm going to get a minor power card. Please give me something to replace that moon and fire. Yes, right off the jump. I got 2 choices. What do I got here? Add a blight. No, thank you. Add a beast. Target land has a beast. Destroy a town. Yes, please. Nope. No, I need the moon and the fire. Yeah, we're taking Prowling Panthers. Fortunately, I can't play that right away. I would have really liked that. So that is the event card. We're going to do our 2 earned fear cards, and hopefully we can knock that town off the board, because that would be a really silly ravage. Each player adds a town, adds a strife to a different land with at least 2 invaders. Then each invader takes 1 damage per strife that it has. This is gonna cascade, isn't it? That's really gross. So it has to have at least, I wish it had 2 or less, because then I could put the strife there, which would be magical. But I will add it. These guys are gonna die anyway. At least 2 invaders. Fine, I'll add it to this city, because that's gonna grab its next turn. And this will take 1 damage, so now I can turn that on its side. And the next card, come on. Each player removes from a coastal land. Son of a bitch. Each player removes a explorer or a town from a coastal land. I'm gonna clearly remove this guy, which is the nice thing. So I remove this, so when this ravages next turn, it's only going to be attacking 1, which is nice. So I don't need to worry about that land as much. So we are done. We now go to the invader actions. We brutally take a blight and a cascade, and since it blighted there where I had presence, my presence goes bye-bye, and I have 1 blight left on this card. This is defended 3. It's attacking 4. So I'm going to take 1 damage to one of my Dahan, and then they're going to retaliate, kill, 2 fear. I get another fear card. Alright, we're building. Build is ignored there. No build here. We're exploring. Wetlands. Wetlands get an explorer. Since there's no towns or cities, you get the second explorer. And then wetlands get an explorer. Since there is a town or the city, we're good. And now we have to decide if there are towns and cities, we add a blight. I can't do that clearly. So since there's no towns or cities there, I can add a town here. I only have 1 blight left, so again, kind of a Hobson's choice. In that I had to do it, which sucks. Alright. So we're building in wetlands next turn, which is a problem. So, oh, I can't even use this freaking power. So target land is the land, well, I can just to get the fear. So target land is the only, has to be a land where I have presence. I only have presence in 1 land on the board at this point. So I can do 2 fear there, and I can replace a town with an explorer, but I can't. And I can replace a city with a town, but alas, I can't because there's none of those things there, and it's the only land where I have presence. However, remember that sacred places are really important for for Voldemort. So we're stuck. That's that. We survived. Barely. I still have a wee bit of a chance of turning this around, but it ain't looking good. The good thing is ravaging is a non-issue for us next turn, and maybe we can survive long enough for a Terra level 3 victory. But what do I want to do? Interesting. No building. Alright. Well, that's going to prevent that build. Oh, there's no Dahan there. Shoot. I need to move Dahan around. Oh, it's so gross. I can push. Great. Alright, so I'm going to add a presence within 3 of where I have presence. Don't have tons of options here. I'm going to add a presence there. Oh, man. Definitely doing these 2. And then I'm going to, if I'm just chasing fear, that makes some sense. That's fine. So I added the presence and I'm going to gain 3 energy. I will take that in singles, please. Thanks. The barista here is amazing. Alright, fast powers. Alright, and I have unlocked this innate power. So I am going to gather into this place, or I'm going to gather into this sand, so this 1 away from my Adversary place. So this is a acceptable target land. I'm going to destroy up to 2 explorers, and I get 1 fear for each explorer destroyed. So that's my innate power. Balance of 1, another fear card. Oh, I thought we were Terra level 3. We're not. Shoot. We're close. Target land has to have Dahan, so this will be the target land, and I can push up to 3 Dahan. I will push Dahan here and hope that disease is not ignored this turn, because Lord knows I'm gonna need it. Alright, so this is done. So again, I did the bottom option on that card, and then, oh, that's a fast power. Rough. I mean, it's a slow power, so I have 2 slow powers remaining. We're going to do Blighted Island effect. Nothing happening. Event card. New species. Spread. Fortunately, we've been lucky to not get event cards that trigger badness when there's a Blighted Island. And this should be good. Alright. New species spread. New species. New plants and animals brought by the invaders damage the local ecology. I can let the invasion species bloom. For each board, discard the top amount of power. If it has a fast power, add a blight. Obviously, can't do that because that's too much of a risk. So if I can spend 4 energy per player, aided by moon. So I have 3 moons in play, so that's fine. And I can discard this card, so that gives me a total of 5 toward this. So I successfully did that. I get 1 fear per player. On each board, I can add a beast to a land with cities or towns. I will add a beast. Wow. I will add a beast here. On half the boards, rounding up, add a disease to a land with both Dahan and invaders. Do 2 damage to Dahan there. Yikes. So this is the only board that applies. And I do 2 damage. So new diseases have the settlers. Invaders are not bothered, but my Dahan clearly are by Dahan, which is a little rough. And each spirit with 2 Dahan among its lands gains 1 energy. That could actually be useful. So that card is done. We're now doing our 2 fear cards. We're still on terror level 2. Terror level 3 would have been so much better. Each player may choose a land with Dahan or adjacent to at least 3 Dahan. Invaders do not ravage there this turn. No. I'm not doing that. That's gross. That tread carefully was not useful. And each player chooses a different land with Dahan. 1 damage per Dahan there. That is fine. So we're going to destroy this town for 1 fear. Because it was 2 Dahan, so they each did 1 damage. Alright, invader actions. We're ravaging. This strife goes away. It only ravaged 1, so we're fine. There's nothing there to ravage. We're building disease token. And then we're building a city here, which is going to be rough. We're doing an explore action. We're exploring into a land with cities or towns. We're exploring into a land that doesn't have cities or towns, so that gets 2. And then because of the wonderful escalator, I have to either add a blight there, which I can't, so I have to add a town here. This advances, and this is looking less and less likely, especially as we're entering into level 3. Reality is there's 2 cities on the board, so maybe I can get rid of them in time to get a Terra level 3 victory, which would be magical. Alright, so I am going to target land has to be 1 away. The target land has to be a mountain or a jungle, 1 away from where I have presence. And if it has a beast, I can destroy a town. So I'm going to destroy this town. This goes back into the supply. Generate a fear. We have now magically entered into Terror level 3. I'm going to gather up to 4 Dahan. I'm going to gather this Dahan. This is my target land. It's 1 away from where I have presence. If invaders are present and Dahan now outnumbers them, I get 3 fear. So you can see I'm just kind of chasing fear right now as a last ditch effort to hopefully pull this thing off. So all my cards go here. Time passes. Nothing has to heal. My presence on this board is just garbage. And that's just how it is. So I'm going to gain a power card. I know I'm gaining 3 energy from the presence track. And I have so many power cards. This is so stupid. I mean, I just don't have enough money to even really consider this. To consider a major power, I think. Getting a card that can remove Blight Fest would be super magical. A lot of the really strong major powers make you add Blight. I'm not at Terra level. I can't get my 3rd level of my innate, so whatever. Nope. To defend 4. What's ravaging? Three and 4. Alright, so Confounding Mists. Immediately pushed to any adjacent land. Oh. Interesting. So I can destroy 3 towns, and all explorers, I have to add a Blight. Ugh. Defend 2 in every land where I have presence. And gather. So this is the only... I can defend 4. I have to do this one. I'm gonna need to get super lucky. I don't really think I'm using any of these cards this turn. So my biggest problem is this. This is gonna Blight, and I don't have presence there, and I can't get this card to give me range. I just need that Ravage to become a build. That's fine. So I'll grab the defend 4 just to have, and I'm going to play this. Fast powers are everything. This in case something super lucky happens, and the Terra level 3 fear cards can be pretty magical sometimes. Right now I think it's just chasing fear. So defending a mountain or jungle is useless, but I will take the extra fear as a fast power. So what is happening here? So we are going to we're gonna pay 1 for each of these. I do have this. So I'm going to, invaders do not, so target land has to be 2 away from where I have a sacred place. I still have the sacred place in the middle of the board, and it has to have Dahan. So 1 fear per Dahan, or 1 fear per city or town, whichever is less. So that's 1 fear, which gives me another fear card. I'm actually 8 fear, what, 12 fear away from a fear victory. I'm going to generate 2 fear and defend, well, whatever. Target land is there. Who cares? I'm not defending anything. So that's fine. And then crops wither and die. I'm going to generate 2. Nope, that is a slow power. Shoot. Oh, I have 1 more power. My innate power, I get to gather 2 explorers. So I'm going to... that's rough. I'm going to gather 1. They're not building there anyway. I'm going to gather 1 because I have to. I'm destroying 2 and I generate 2 fear, and hopefully I get to remove 1 of those explorers before they blight. But now I have 3 fear cards, which is pretty cool. So 1 of those should be able to prevent that from utter tragedy. But this is my bigger problem right down here. So let's get lucky. We are going to do, I think I might be back at the magical France Slave Rebellion card, which would be great. So, Blighted Island effect, there is none. I did this. Event card. No, I'm not. What? That's right, because you pull 3, you pull an extra one. So, the Slave Rebellion card would have been awesome. Blighted Island. Festering Pits of Blight. I add a Blight to a land with at least 2 Blights. But do not cascade. That's it. That's all she wrote. That sucks. I'm curious if I know what that is. Let's see what this would have been. So let's say, I think for more educational purposes, so I definitely lost. It was really gross, and nothing about the spirit. Nothing about this game has changed my opinions of how annoying the spirit is. So say I took this one. On each board, add a blight to a land adjacent to a land with blight. I could prevent this on any all boards by destroying 2 of my presence. So I would have had to do this. So I had 1 presence left on the board. Each beast destroys 1 explorer. And then on each board, add 1 Dahan to a coastal land with Dahan. So then I would have had these fear cards, stage level 3, skip the next normal explorer, but still reveal a card, perform the escalator if relevant. So that would have been pretty cool. Each player had to choose a different land. The chosen lands got up to 2 Dahan, then 1 damage per Dahan present. I mean, it's not going to help me down there, but I would have had to do this just to be safe. So those guys would have died, and then wrong deck. And then the last turn fear card, each player adds a strife to a land with Dahan, and every land was strife, 1 damage per Dahan. So once we got the Ravage, we would have died here because that would have blighted. So we were pretty doomed. But I don't know. There might have been some wisdom. We were close. We were really close. It's hard to say it wasn't the right idea. We prevented all build that first round. I mean, the other idea is you let build happen, so you don't get this innate power. You just do the 1 card. You get up to that 3 energy, and then you start, potentially getting better set to get to that 3 card plays. I mean, I still, you're gonna have to reclaim cards at least once. So you're really talking 5 turns before you have the combination of energy and card plays to get to that 2nd level innate power. And France just put such a stranglehold on us early because the whole game became making sure that we still had 7 towns, or you just making sure that we never had a place where we had to put a town on the board, and we didn't have any. But there's I think if you can actually get up to this level 3, but again, you're still 2 turns away. I just don't see how this is a great spirit to play. It's funny, my wife's cousin he has a weird love-hate relationship with this game. Doesn't hasn't played it a ton, just isn't really getting it. And I totally get that. Like, again, the games I really love, like this game, Arkham, Mage Knight. I mean, you go to that period where you're like, like the learning curve is so steep, the barrier to entry can be a little off-putting. And the thing that took me a while to wrap my head around with this game, it almost felt like cheap, right? Because when you're playing at the lower levels and you're just winning, you're like, oh, I won victory level 3. Great. Terror level 3, great, because it's like it seems so much easier. But on the higher levels, I think really is where this game comes to life, and you appreciate just all the challenge, the escalators, why Terror level 3 is such a cool achievement, and really what's happening on the board. But anyway, so anyway, my wife's cousin sent me a text and said he finally played this spirit in Shadows, and that's his favorite spirit, and he really kind of made him appreciate the game. And I was kind of like, that's the only spirit I don't like. So I think there's something cool about this game that everyone I've played with has, a spirit or two that speaks to them and is the kind of spirit they would prefer to play. My friend, my best gaming friend, he loves Shadows Flicker Like Flames. No, not Shadows Flicker Like Flames. He loves Heart of the Wildfire, which we'll get to in a playthrough pretty soon, because we are running out of other choices. He just loves being able to blight the land and that blight management that goes with him. For me, again, I love Ocean. I love Thunderspeaker. I think just is just so damn strong, but being able to really move Dahan around the board and set that puzzle up to do tons of damage, I find that really cool. My favorite is Sharp Fangs Behind the Leaves, I think. If I really think about what I'm most excited to play, I do like Ocean. The thematic nature of Ocean goes back and forth, but yeah, this spirit, I mean, I just don't get it. And if he was a little stronger, the artwork's cool. I mean, the idea of like the spirit that is the Shadows is all right. I just don't. It's not as intuitive to me when I think about like it makes sense to have Earth, and you have the Serpent, and you have the Wildfire, and you have the Lightning. It's like, oh, Shadows is a thing too. It's like, all right, maybe that's fine, I guess. But I digress. We lost. France is tough, but it was interesting to come close. I guess we're really only 2 cities away and 8 fear away, so maybe I could have just chased fear more. I tend to not chase fear level victories unless I'm playing with the Bringers of Dreams and Nightmares. I find it can be, especially at the higher levels, there's so many fear cards, it can be really hard to get that much fear on the board quick enough, while you're also trying to manage everything else that you're doing here. But we got through this one. We will come back. I think that pushes our record to 6-3. And I think all 3 of those losses were level 4. So you start to see, the win rates go down as you ratchet up the difficulty here, which is cool. It makes a nice challenge. Thanks for watching. I hope everyone is being safe and doing well. Any comments, questions, epiphanies, please put them below as normal, and I will get back to you when I can. In the meantime, I'll be back next week with a new adventure. Till then, take care and happy gaming.